So guys, what's going on? I've just seen something so bizarre, something so crazy, and something that I feel like I need to be talking about. John Fury, who's created a Twitter account today, has come out and said, Jake Paul, right? And I'll go through the sequence of events. Jake Paul needs to pay up for the bet that they had, and he needs to pay Tommy Fury that 30 million because Tommy Fury won the fight. Unbelievable. These guys were talking so big before the fight. I mean, in the sense that Jake Paul offered Tommy Fury a bet, which they shook on, right? And Jake Paul, and here's the thing, John Fury's now saying that I don't want to hear about a contract. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to hear any of that because I'm a gypsy and I don't know anything about paperwork and this, that. A handshake is a verbal agreement, not when a contract's been sent. Firstly, a handshake is a handshake. It's not a binding agreement. A contract is a binding agreement. And Tommy Fury and John Fury and all those guys had an opportunity to sign that contract, and basically Jake would have had to give up his purse. Now, I don't even know if from a commission point of view they're allowed to do that. I'm not even sure if they're allowed to, if that would be allowed, to be honest with you. So now John Fury is claiming that Jake Paul should pay up after passing up on the opportunity of doing winner takes all, because Jake Paul actually apparently sent a contract which was sent to Fury's lawyers and they turned it down. They turned it down, apparently, that Fury didn't sign the contract. So you can't then come out, because fair enough, if you shook a hand and there was no contract being offered to you, then that's a different thing. Because what that tells me is you shook a hand, but you were doing that for the camera. You weren't doing that. You weren't doing that for actually wanting to do winner takes all. And the other thing is, if Tommy Fury had lost, I know John Fury would say, yeah, we would have paid up. Like, shit, they would have paid up. If they would have paid up, then they would have signed the contract. You see? So these guys, and look, I like Tyson Fury. I like the Furies. I think they're great characters. But I think sometimes you need to see through them a little bit, because they do lie a lot. They can lie a lot. I know they act like we're hard and we're truth. No. They're just like everybody else. I know Tyson says it's not about the money and stuff like that. And Eddie Hearns and these guys have seen, Eddie Hearns kind of seen through Tyson. And he used to say it, Eddie Hearns used to say it about Tyson Fury a long time ago, that they say something, but you don't always believe what they say. And he goes, I'm shocked to how gullible the audience and the public are towards Tyson Fury. I mean, Tyson Fury can say anything and people just believe it, even though it might not be true. And I think Eddie Hearns spot on. I mean, John Fury's literally come out and said, yeah, we'll take it. You've asked for it. We'll give you a deal. They shook on it. And when Jake sent the contract, they didn't sign it. And now he's claiming that Jake Paul should pay it when they literally turned down the contract. I mean, I won't pay a penny. I won't, because legally you're not bound. Because it's one thing if you shook on it, but then there was no contract. It was a man's word. That's a difference. But when someone sent a contract to get it on paper, if you had signed it, you would have had Jake's, because then legally he would have had to pay you. If that thing's allowed in boxing, I'm not even sure you're allowed to do stuff like that. But if you were, legally, he would have had to pay him. Jake would have had to pay Tommy. But they didn't have the cojones because they weren't confident they were going to win the fight. And on that performance, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised he weren't confident, because Tommy Fury's not exactly Sugar Ray Leonard, is he? That he was so confident he's going to beat Jake Paul. I mean, he got knocked down in the last round and he didn't look great. I mean, throughout the fight, just that Jake, he's probably a little bit more technically and more polished than Jake Paul. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know. If I was his father and I was his team, I would definitely advise against him to not take a winner takes all. So that's why they didn't sign the contract. See, that's why I'm saying to you that don't believe all this stuff that you see about the Furies. They're not what they come across on camera. I'm pretty sure off camera they must be completely different. Because if they were, and if John Fury was that man, he would have forced that and said, no, that needs to be signed. Then he's backtracked and said, oh, I'm a gypsy. We don't know about paperwork and stuff like that. Do you guys believe that? I mean, yeah, man. Like, to be honest with you, like, if they had signed the contract and then Jake's not paying up, that's another matter. Then that's another matter. Then you could say, yeah, Jake's not. He's you know, he needs to pay up. He doesn't need to pay up. And that again, even if John Fury after the fight was really, you know, with Jake, they were on good terms, etc. This, that, the other. And you would think that John Fury, like, he says, I don't care about money on camera many times. I don't care about money. So why would you care about that? Why would you care if your son gets another 30, whatever, 20 million? Because they do care about money. Because otherwise they wouldn't care. So why should Jake have to pay up? I mean, not legally, he's not bound to. But this is what the Furies do. And I think sometimes we as the public, Fury has his fanboys, so they'll say anything, you know, but any normal educated person can see through what, you know, John and the Furies do at times. And this is just another example of that. I mean, if they had lost the fight, they would have said, well, and his fanboys, and I've seen some Fury fanboys come out and say, oh, well, he shook his hand, didn't he? He shook his hand, so we should be paying up. Is illegally bound because he shook his hand. No, but why didn't they sign the contract when Jake sent it? Shaking somebody's hand don't mean anything. That don't mean it. Someone could shake my hand and say, I'm gonna pay you 300 grand for the job that you did for me, right? But that's why people say get it in writing. Shaking somebody's hand or saying it on the phone don't mean anything. It don't mean anything. What does that mean? It don't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything, especially when we know that the contract was sent. We know Jake wouldn't lie about that. Jake clearly said on video before the fight, not after the fight, before the fight, that I've sent the contract and they didn't want to know. Imagine if Fury had actually signed that, they would have got another extra 30 million. The problem is that it's too risky. Because if you go into a fight and lose, you've lost 7 million. See, Jake's probably got a lot of money, like, to lose. I'm not saying, I don't know Tommy's financial situation. I'm pretty sure he's made some good money off the fight. But financially, he wouldn't have made huge money. Might be doing, like, endorsement deals and you know, advertising, etc. All of that stuff, which famous people do. But I don't think he would be mega filthy rich by any stretch. So for him, that would have been, you know, a big payday for him. So yeah, I just found it funny. I thought I'd do a video on it because I just found it hilarious that John Fury has come out and said that. Obviously Jake's not going to pay up, no chance. I mean, because Jake's probably not even going to respond to it. It doesn't need to legally, and there's not much they can do from a legal standpoint. There's not much they can do anyway, because there's no contract. If there was a contract, he would be liable. But there's no contract. Handshaking somebody's hand isn't gonna be enough, especially when the contract was sent, because that's why people put it on paper. A handshake, it's, you know, it's not anything as far as I'm concerned. Especially in today's climate, you know, you need to have a contract which needs to be signed, and they didn't sign it. They didn't sign it, and Tommy Fury just lost what, 20-something million probably. But the fact that the audacity of the Furies or John Fury to come out, you know, when these guys claim that not about the money, then to ask Jake Paul when they weren't willing to sign the contract for his purse, just because he shook on it when they didn't want to sign the contract. Because Jake was willing to go through with it. He was willing to go through. And to be honest with you, how Jake was willing to go through with that when he has limited boxing ability, probably because he doesn't care. Probably because he has a lot. He has so much money prior to this. It's just like another top up to him. But I found it funny because for the Furies, I felt like Tommy hasn't made that kind of money. You know, he wouldn't have made that kind of money from Love Island, or yeah, he might have made it from after Love Island, famous endorsements and stuff like that. But he wouldn't have made anywhere near the amount of money Jake Paul's made. And as a fighter, Tommy would have hardly made much, because I mean, he's been fighting lower level fights on undercards, etc. So this would have been a huge payday for him. Whereas to Jake Paul, although Jake Paul made a massive payday, for me, Tommy was the one that probably got a bigger pay. Because like I said, Jake's a lot more well known. He's very successful on his social media platform. So he would already be very filthy rich. But yeah, I just found it funny that John Fury came out to claim that, you know, Jake should pay up his purse. I found that hilarious. You know, what do you guys make of that? What do you guys think of that? Do you think Jake should pay up, or do you think it's a case where, you know, tough shit, you didn't sign the contract, so Jake shouldn't pay him a penny? Jake's not going to pay anyway, obviously not. He's not legally bound to. They didn't sign the contract. I don't think anything can be made of this, and if nothing can be made of something legally, then yeah, I think where it went wrong, if there wasn't a contract sent, then maybe I'm not sure a handshake is enough, you know. I think you have to have it down on paper, and they didn't get it down on paper, so it's their own fault, which is crazy when you think about it, because he could have been much richer as of right now. But yeah, leave your thoughts, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'd love to know your opinion, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.